Hi, it's Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about the Royal Australian Engineers. Military engineering is a very special thing, especially because it's actually the oldest form of engineering in the world. The word engineer actually only derives from military engineering because engineer comes from engine, as in siege engine, not combustion engine, and it meant the person who operates and creates the siege engines. Other tasks that these people were associated with was digging trenches, including saps, which were trenches that dug underneath walls to try and undermine the outside of castle walls, as well as the fortifications associated with them to keep everyone safe while doing it. This here is the crest of the Royal Australian Engineers. We have Queen Elizabeth's crown on top, hence why we also have the two eyes here for Queen Elizabeth II. It says Royal Australian Engineers on the bottom. We have wreaths to look fancy, and around the edge we have our secondary motto. Our current motto is ubique, which is Latin for everywhere, because we're required in everywhere in the military. Other things, we're often known as the ginger beers, due to English rhyming slang, ginger beers, engineers. In terms of general tasks that the engineers are expected to do, there are just three of them. So the first one is counter mobility, which is destroying roads, destroying bridges, putting up obstacles, digging trenches, anything that gets in the way and stops other people from moving around the battle space. The second one is mobility, which is building roads, building bridges, filling in pits, and dismantling obstacles to allow us to get through. Of note, this also includes dismantling minefields, which is a very slow and annoying process. And then the third task is survivability. This includes things like defensive fortifications, like trenches, and putting up walls and sandbags. But then you also include things like we have water desalination plants, as well as the ability to mine for water into the ground. These also includes things like power generation, just buildings themselves as shelter, as well as piping things like gas and plumbing in more built-up environments. Now let's talk about where they are. Alright, starting off we have the three combat brigades, which are situated in Darwin, Townsville and Brisbane. So looking in Darwin, we have one combat engineer regiment. It's made up of two combat squadrons, as well as a support squadron and operational support squadron. Basically fights and blows a lot of stuff up, has trucks and builds things, and builds really big things like bridges. Brisbane, you have two CER built to the same structure. Townsville, you have three CER built to the same structure. Moving over to Amberley, which is southeast west of Brisbane, you have 6 ESR, which is 6 Engineer Support Regiment, which have 2 construction squadrons, which do large-scale constructions overseas, as well as explosive ordnance disposal. Moving back out again, and then we go into Sydney. We have 19 Chief Engineer Works, who do all the work overseas for diplomatic points, building piers, building bases. We also in Brisbane have the newly raised 12th Chief Engineer Works, which is just double the amount of people they need to fill these positions. And then in Holsworthy, which is southwest of Sydney, we have the School of Military Engineering, which is a 6.5-month course that everyone has to do, a Special Operations Engineer Regiment. Moving on to reserves. Basically, what you need to take away is that every major city in Australia, except for Hobart, has a reserves unit. Anyway, I hope that's a useful rundown of some of the locations and some of the work that gets done. See you Friday.